Hi, my name is Jasmine Parent. I am a certified personal trainer, a certified nutrition coach, and a certified behavioral change specialist. I am a former social worker, but I now conduct my own business, I Am Worthy Wellness, completely virtually and online. And I'm also a mother of three.
Oh my gosh, you've got so much going on. I love it.
Yeah.
So here's where we want to start. And I remember this so vividly. We both show up to play basketball one day. I had
Hmm.
no idea who you were. And then I was like,
Neither did
okay,
I.
trying to check. I know. I was like, just checking out like who's here, who's on my team and doing my creeping. And I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
holy, this Jasmine losing it. She's got a massive audience. And so that's where
Hmm.
I sort of had fun, like diving into your work and what you do. So let's start
Yes.
there
Okay.
because you have something that you know how to do something that I think is so powerful for so many entrepreneurs. So you currently have built up this incredible audience of like
Hmm.
175,000 followers on Instagram.
Hmm.
Let's start at the end.
Okay.
What is the most important piece of advice that you would give to a female founder who is trying to build an audience on social media?
Think my number one piece of advice, especially like you said, for females online, is to be yourself. And I know that authenticity, everyone says that, and that might feel a little bit played out, but it needs to be said, especially as it pertains to social media, over and over and over again. Don't be scared to show up if you're having a bad day. Don't be scared to tell people if you're having a moment of something you perceive as weakness or if things aren't going perfectly, right? We talk about social media as being a highlight reel. You need to try and get rid of that, right? Show all of it. Show the good days, show the not so good days. And if you're having a full on breakdown and you feel comfortable sharing that, share that with people too, because it makes you relatable and people don't look at you as somebody up on a pedestal. You're right there with them and you are the same. We are the same and we're all in this. And it makes people feel closer to you and it really draws people in. And that's what keeps people coming back and telling their friends about you and sharing your story with others.
That's fascinating to me, this idea of showing your whole self. So when you
Mm,
say be authentic, it's show your whole self and don't
yeah.
be afraid to do that. So
Hmm.
when you think about doing that, and we'll get into your backstory in a moment, but what have been the biggest tips or principles that you've had to kind of channel in order to give yourself permission to
Mm.
show up authentically as you are day after day for your audience?
I think realizing and understanding that having a bad day, or for myself, I have a generalized anxiety disorder, struggling with mental illness or, succumbing to the stress that is life, it doesn't make you weak, right? And getting over that thought that, having a bad day or feeling sad or being down makes you weak. And we live in such a hustle culture and this hustle mentality of do more, be better all the time. And I think sometimes we internalize that and think that if we're having a bad day or things aren't going great or things didn't go how we planned, that we aren't good enough or that we're being weak and that we just need to work harder, instead of admitting and accepting that it's okay to have those days, weeks, whatever it might be, those moments, and accepting that that's okay, and then feeling okay to share that with others. That's what's really helped me, is letting go of that, having down days and not feeling the best or not looking your best, showing up online and maybe you just rolled out of bed, whatever it is, you don't put a filter on, those kinds of things, doesn't make you weak. It actually makes you very strong and it makes you very brave. And it shows other people that it's okay to do that, because inevitably they're looking at you and thinking, oh, well, this person does this and has this and she's able to do this and she still has bad days and she still has down days. Maybe it's okay for me to have those days as well.
Mm. It's fascinating to me that have built this incredible audience showing up being yourself. And I think so many people would think to themselves, that's enough. Like
Mm,
it's enough to show up as myself. And what I'm hearing
yeah.
from you is, yeah,
Yeah.
actually it's more than enough.
And it's enough. And it actually is easier. I was thinking about these questions before we started talking today, and it's actually easier to be yourself than to constantly be putting on this show, right? That is exhausting. And I think we've all been in positions, whether it was a place of work or a social setting, where you felt like you had to put on a little bit, or maybe you weren't exactly yourself for whatever reason. And, maybe doing that for an hour here, an hour there, but doing it all the time and having to constantly be fake or not be yourself, or suppress your emotions or thoughts or whatever it might be, that is exhausting. So if anything, it takes a lot of the work off of you and a lot of that stress and a lot of that pressure, because you're just being yourself, right? Being yourself, for some people I know, can be difficult if you're not quite there yet. But at the end of the day, when you start practicing it and you continue to show up, it gets easier every single time you pick up your phone and you take a story or you put up a post and write a caption that's true to you. That actually is much easier at the end of the day than trying to put on all the time and show up as someone that doesn't feel authentic to you.
So I'm thinking about our listeners who have things that they want to promote. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, it could be they want to promote a challenge that they're doing, or
Yep.
they have a webinar that they want people to participate in, or they
Mm-hmm.
have this resource that they want to draw attention to. And so many of us, present company included, will put so much energy into creating masterful content, or
Mm-hmm.
really thoughtful content that will enable people to that will build the audience, but also will say, hey, go check this out.
Mm-hmm.
From your perspective, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here, but let's say that you had like a challenge or you had something that you wanted to promote.
Mm-hmm.
And if we kind of map this, I've got this business outcome I want to create here, I want to have happen. If you match that with, let's just keep it easy, let's
Mm-hmm.
just be authentic and show up, how might you promote something like that? What would you do on your
So,
Instagram to say, hey, come to this challenge?
yeah. So I've done that, multiple times, and something that I started doing about a year ago, and it's really taken off, and it's probably been the best way that I've promoted anything that I've done. I actually do it myself first. And I don't even market it as I will be selling this at a later date, or this will be something you guys can get your hands on. I incorporate it into my daily life, and I show it on my stories, and I post about it and say, I'm following this. I'm putting myself through a 21-day program. It's been really working really well for me. This is what I'm doing. This is how it works. If I put out a fitness program, my partner and I do it ourselves first, right? We're testing this out. We're doing this program ourselves, and I'm incorporating it into my daily life to show not only that I can preach, but I'm also practicing what I preach very vividly right now, right here in front of you, and showing you how these tools work for me and for my day to day, and just talking about it casually. And then, maybe a month later, boom, you guys remember last month when I was doing my 21-day challenge and, whatever it was, if it was mindset or fitness, and now you guys want to do it with me, let's get that rolling. So that's an opportunity for you, is showing that it's fine to talk to people about what you have to offer, but I think it's better to show them that you are doing that too, right? Whether it's very purposely showing that specific program, or the things that you do day to day, and say that I've actually compiled these things. You guys have been watching me practicing these different things throughout the past however many weeks or months. Now I've compiled them all together, and you can get your hands on that too.
So smart,
Yeah.
super smart, and just really, but also really authentic. So it's this sense that you're not going to share something with your audience that you wouldn't do or you wouldn't use.
Yep.
It's bringing them along with you, taking them behind the scenes first so that they understand why you would do this challenge or what would be in it for them. That makes so much sense. Sense. How would you describe your relationship with your audience?
It's very real. I would say it's very real. Obviously, with having a large following comes a lot of, there can be a lot of negativity as well. And you get, online trolls and people who say things. And I've had a lot of success in being able to keep that to a minimum. I don't know how, cross my fingers, knock on wood, whatever it is, but I don't get a lot of negativity. And, I think that's two parts. There's one, I have very clear cut boundaries. And if people step over them, they're removed and not able to access my page, right? If it's a very clear cut boundary and that's not respected, but also again, I show up as myself. So people know what to expect. So either they like me or they don't. And I don't spend any time or energy worrying about if people like me, because I'm just being myself. So if they don't, that's the beauty of social media. You don't have to be here, right? No one's forcing you to be here, right? So I think just continuing to show up as yourself, it allows people to see the true you, right? It allows them to know what to expect. They know what to expect. So my audience, they know what they're going to get when I come on. So they may not know exactly, is Jasmine in a good mood today, or is her anxiety crippling her this week? What might it be? But nothing is this huge surprise, right? They know what I stand for, what I don't, the things that I allow on my page, the boundaries that I have set, and it's fun. And I do my best to make sure everyone else knows that they're welcome there and that they are appreciated. And I do my best every day to map out even just a few minutes a day to engage with people, whether it's responding to comments, getting back to them in DMs. If people ask me to follow them back, I follow them back, right? So it's like, it's a community. And I started the page to be that. I never wanted to be big. That wasn't really a thought about it. So I keep that mindset now. Yes, my page has grown, but I'm still who I was when I had 50 followers, right? Nothing has changed there.
So let's talk about the backstory before you were Jasmine losing it, having all these followers. And guys, you need to go check out these videos. Like I think my favorite one is where you're doing a workout with Jeremy, your partner, and your baby. And you're like, that your son, you're like, he was a little fussy today. So you're like, holding him with one arm, doing like military press with your free arm. It was the best. It was so inspiring, Jasmine, seriously. But let's go back. How did this get started for you? Because you were a social worker. That was your background. That's what you were doing.
Yeah.
How did you go from social worker to the founder and CEO of I'm Worthy Wellness, the creator of the Jasmine Losing It page? Like, take us through what your story looked like and how you got here.
Sure. So it started in 2018 via a New Year's resolution. And it was a weight loss resolution. And I'd had many before. And this one kind of felt different. I had spent all of 2017 really focused on some inner work. I had lost my dad a few years previous. I'd put on a significant amount of weight and I didn't really feel like myself anymore. And I said, what can I do? I kind of social worked myself and said, how can I improve my mental well-being and what do I need to do? And it was about taking care of myself from the inside out. So once I was at a place where the inner felt good, I physically wanted to make some changes. And I was in a mindset to do that. I had the mindset to do that. So I made a New Year's resolution. My partner and he was in it with me, and we just made a lot of food switches, right? We kind of changed our diet completely and removed some things and added in some things. And I wasn't really going to document it online at all. I was sharing 3 months in, I shared a progress photo on my personal Facebook and my personal Instagram. And that got via a hashtag that some different weight loss pages got their hands on it. And it just kind of blew up. I started having people requesting my personal page. And I remember saying to Jeremy, my partner, I said, I can't have strangers on my personal Instagram seeing like what I do, right? The irony of that now. I said,
it's so funny. I love it.
Right. So I was like, what do I do? He's like, I don't know. And I said, well, do people still have fitness pages? Like, is that a thing? I genuinely had no idea. It's completely oblivious to the whole family of, weight loss and fitness accounts that exist. And I just said, okay, well, what can I name it? And we just was like a 2-second thing. I was like, Jasmine Losing It. Like, I just did it quickly because I didn't want all these people following my personal page. And I created it. And that's really what happened. And just from that one photo going a little bit viral, so people just started pouring in, and it was very overwhelming. There was hundreds and hundreds of people, and then it was thousands, and people asking me questions and how do I do it? And I, of course, was still a beginner myself and really not in a position to be giving that type of advice. And it just started very quickly and kind of snowballed from there. And eventually got to the point where, I was doing some affiliate marketing and connected to other programs and plans and receiving commission from that. And the more the page grew, the more, of course, the more money that came in through that. And I was able to acquire a savings that I'd been tucking away because like I was still working as a full-time social worker with the Nova Scotia Health Authority. And I had tucked some savings away, and I went back to work after having my second daughter. And I remember sitting in my office and, 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, whatever it was. And I remember having the savings and thinking, in 2 days, not even really on my page, I had made more money than I was going to be making through my check from the 2 weeks that I was going to be getting from my job as a social worker. And that, I remember that moment so vividly. And my partner was at home with our daughters. That was what made the most sense at the time. And I said, I messaged him and I said, why am I here? And he said, what are you talking about? You have work. And I said, no, but why am I here? Right? The girls are
He's
at
like,
home.
no, Jasmine, you're really losing it now.
Yeah. Right? Why am I here? My daughter was 1, my other daughter was 3. I just, they were young. And I felt if you have the opportunity to be home with your kids and that can work for your family, I thought I want to do it. I wanted to do that. So that's really what happened. There was a saving. So I had a safety net. So I always tell people is what allowed me to do it. I felt like I had a bit of a safety net, and I knew that if it didn't work out, then my education wasn't going anywhere, and my experience as a social worker wasn't going anywhere. But I wanted to take the chance because I didn't want to be sitting there and asking myself, well, maybe I could have done it. Right. So that's what happened. And from that came I Am Worthy Wellness. And I wanted people to be able to think about the mental side of things. I really didn't want it to be about being bigger and then getting smaller. I was really conscious about that from the beginning, because yes, that's what happened to me, but it wasn't because I spent all this time saying I want to be thin or I want to be smaller. It was because I had done a full year of inner work, and I wanted that to be the focus. And that's what I Am Worthy Wellness really kind of started from, was that you can have all the fitness programs and all the nutrition programs in the world, but if your mind isn't right and if it isn't in a good place, then you won't be successful.
What's coming through to me that's so interesting is this idea that the same philosophy that helped you to build an audience authentically. So this idea of being very real, showing up as your whole self, being humble, like being humble and real and like a real person, how that translated from not only allowing you to build a following, but also allowing you to build a really strong brand. Because I do think, as somebody who follows your page and knows you and follows you, that comes through so much, this idea that it's not about, hey, look at me. It's really about, look at what we can do, and that you are sort of a spokesperson for what's possible for all of us. That comes through. And it's so interesting that the same thing that is required to build an authentic following is also required to build an authentic brand.
And I feel like it can be so isolating. And it's because, and I think about this and I said this the other day to somebody that I was talking to, and, they had a client and they had said, thank you so much for understanding. And I thought, I have no other choice. I get it, because I was that person and I was there. So I really still approach my page as someone just starting their journey in a way, right? Because I want people to know that I get it and I understand it. I'm not ever telling you, you have to do this or you have to do that, or your method doesn't work. I want people to show up as they are just as much as I want to show up as I am. And I want people to know and understand they don't have to completely change who they are to reach their goals, right? Or they don't have to completely do a full, 180 on their whole entire life to try to be like someone else. So you be yourself, right? You can make changes and adjust your habits, but who you are inside, that doesn't change. Sometimes we have to find it. Sometimes we've been hiding it or suppressing it for so long, but we don't have to change and be so-and-so on Instagram who has 2 million followers, or so-and-so does this and that works for her, so maybe I should do that. Well, if you want to, yes, but if you don't want to and it doesn't make sense for you in the season of your life right now, then no, don't do that, right? It's providing people with the, letting them know that it's okay to continue being who you are. And far too often, especially as women, we are told to be someone else, right? Or show up differently or look differently or change exactly who you are. And we don't have to do that. You can still be who you are and reach your goals at the same time. Both can exist.
Well, that's the big takeaway, or one of the very big takeaways that I have from our conversation about, audience building, is that it's not about talking at people. It's about talking with people and connecting them and bringing them in. And that's so huge. And it's such a powerful sort of distinction.
Yeah.
This idea of self-acceptance, I mean, it's embedded and baked into the brand of I am worthy. I would love to get a stronger sense of how self-acceptance helps you be a better leader. So as you're making decisions in your business, as you're thinking through opportunities, as you're, thinking about this audience and how you serve them, how have you built your self-acceptance? Like, what are the practices that you put into place? And then just curious about how it's helped you forge this career in business.
Yeah. So first part of that question, something that I do now and continue to do, but have done since I can remember, probably since to my teenage years. And I have to, give my mom a lot of props for that, because she instilled this in me at a very young age. As someone, I grew up in a very rural area, surrounded by everyone who did not look like me. So I think it was very important. Yeah. So I think it was very important for her and both my parents to really kind of push that positive affirmations at me at a very young age. And it's just something that stuck with me throughout my life. I was always the bigger friend. I was always the tall one. I was always couldn't ever share clothes with my friends. And, that kind of those feelings as a young girl, those things really stuck with me. But I can genuinely remember from like the age of 10 on, feeling, upset in those moments and feeling different than everyone else, but then also hearing my mom's voice saying, you are important, you are valid, you are strong, you are capable, just constantly pouring these positive affirmations into me. And I continue to do those today. So I journal very regularly, whether or not it's 1 minute a day or an hour, depending on what I need to get out. So I journal and just writing down my thoughts and my feelings so as not to allow them to sit inside of me and boil out, right, when I least expect it. So journaling, positive affirmations, and positive self-talk, which is positive affirmations, but a little bit differently in that if I'm just walking past a mirror or I see my reflection somewhere, and very often I'll have a negative thought, right? Something will creep in that, oh, your first thought is, I don't like the way this is, or, whatever it might be. And this is a practice I teach to my clients as well. As soon as you have one negative thought, you then have to hit that back with two positive, because one cancels it out and then one puts you up one, right? So
I love
it's
keeping
like
score.
Yeah. So either it's you say it out loud, depending on where you are, if you don't want to seem like you're talking to yourself, or you say it in your head, right? And at the beginning, people will say, well, I can't think of anything, but you just got to probe them and keep saying, well, let's think deeper here. And so that's something I do regularly. If I walk past the mirror and I say, oh, your hair looks ridiculous today, whatever it might be, and I'll say no, and then I'll hit it back with two positives and say, you look really confident today, and something else is, I love the way that you're smiling. I love the way you're smiling today. Anything, right? And it seems a little bit surface and it seems a little bit trivial, but mental work and doing those small little practices throughout the day and telling yourself, even if you don't believe it. I'm not a huge fan of fake it till you make it for different reasons, but saying something, even if you're not fully believing it, you have to speak things into existence. You just have to, right? Negativity begets negativity, but it's the opposite for positivity, right? So if you can tell yourself, I am capable, even if you don't fully believe it right now, you may in a month's time, you may in 2 months' time. And if it's something you want to believe, you've got to make it real. You've got to speak it for yourself.
That's really powerful. Here's another question that I have around this. And it has to do with self-acceptance and showing up online with consistency and openness. So I know that a big objection that sometimes people tell themselves, and this is so interesting, even people who have a big mission. So they have a big mission. They really believe that their work needs to get out there, but they might tell themselves, oh, I just don't have the energy to show up. I just can't do it. And they may look at you and how you bring your followers into your daily life consistently, you know what I mean? Like, what advice would you have for them about, what might you share with them that would help them? So they want what you have. They're just not sure that they can do the work. And of course they get to choose and all of that. They'll do that. But what would you say for people who genuinely want to connect with more people, but they're are telling themselves it's too hard?
Like anything that we do in life, the more you do it, the easier it becomes, right? Like, so I'm also a behavior change specialist, and we talk about forming habits a lot, right? And how do you form a habit? You have to just continue to do it over and over and over again. And I'm at the point now with waking up and sharing what I'm having for my morning tea and what my day plan is for the day. I don't even think about it, right? I don't even think about it. It has now second nature. And it's one of those things that if you genuinely want it, if you genuinely want to do it, and like you said, right, people can decide, is it actually something you want to do? And if it's not, well, don't force it, because what's the point of that? But if you really want to do that and you want to get comfortable doing it, you've got to take that first step. And maybe you set up you have a schedule for yourself. And that has helped me in the very beginning. That did help me, having a schedule. On Monday, I'm just going to post my breakfast and what I'm doing for the day, right? What my plan is for the day. And then that's it. On Tuesday, let's expand a little bit. On Wednesday, and by week 2, that feels very quite natural, right? So you repeat that. And once you start feeling comfortable, maybe we take it up a notch, right? Because it brings people in. It's great to share, your posts and sharing information and a nice picture of yourself. That's great, but it doesn't keep people connected for very long. A like and maybe a couple emojis on a comment, and then they're gone and they've scrolled on to somebody else. They don't know you. They don't feel like they know you. People want to know you and what you're doing. And they want to know that, I took my kids to Walmart and we had to get eggs for the 20th time this week. And, whatever it is, it's like, people have ongoing inside jokes with me, and you guys need to go get chickens because we all eat so many eggs, or, oh, did you watch this show tonight? Because they know I love, I've got a favorite show, and people want to know you. People say, oh, I tell my husband that you're my friend. And I say, we are friends, right? Why aren't we friends? We talk regularly. You know all about my life. I see your stories. I know about your life. I don't know what else, how else we could be better friends, right? So people want that. And if you want to feel that connection, think about who you are. Think about, if you wanted to feel connected to someone online, what would they need to give you? And you need to give that to them.
Oh, so powerful. So a couple of questions, then technical questions to kind of end it on this technical note. And then I actually want to dive a little bit into I Am Worthy Wellness.
Sure.
But technically speaking, how much attention on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is I pay a ton of attention to this, 1 is I don't care, I pay 0 attention. Algorithm. Instagram algorithms. How much do you pay attention to this? How important is understanding this to your to a key platform for you?
Truthfully,
Yeah,
very little. Because it's so stressful, because the thing is, nobody really knows. No one, there's lots of people who spend a lot of time and it's their job to try and figure out the algorithm, but no one knows for 100% what does and doesn't work. And there's lots of things you can do for sure to grow. And that was one of my resolutions for 2022, was to focus more on the growth side of things, because I did get fairly lucky in the start of it all. And then I was able to build on it. But that is one thing I would like to focus on in 2022. But I also try not to allow it to cause me stress or take time away from the group of people that I already do have, right? I try to pour into them. And I actually saw something you said I think maybe on a story or a post a couple of months ago about, focusing in on your 20 or 30% of the people that you have versus trying to pull in that 70, 80%, right? If the smaller group of people you have is 100%, they're all in, they want, whatever that you have to offer, they are there. And when you saw that, it was like, yes, that's so true. And that's what I do, right? I have a really close knit couple hundred people that I engage with very regularly, always do my programs, always are, jumping on in. And those people continue to show up, and then they bring their friends, and then their sisters in the group, and then their mom. I've, someone who's got their mom into it, right? So I worry about it a little bit, right? If it wasn't for the algorithm, I probably wouldn't do reels very often, right? But now
same.
I know that it's important. And now I started to do them, and I actually kind of love them, right? They're fun because I've been doing them, and it's not new anymore. Just like anything new, it's a little bit scary, but the only way it becomes not new, right, is to start. You've got to start. You've just got to do it. You've got to jump in. And I guess the question I always ask myself and people who ask that question is, what's the worst that can happen here, right? What's the worst thing that will happen? You won't get more followers. Well, you're not, you haven't lost anything here, right? So it's that question of what's the worst that could happen versus what's the best thing that could happen.
So for people who have been listening to this and are, have checked out your channel and really appreciate the energy and wisdom that you bring to health and well-being, let's talk a little bit about I Am Worthy Wellness. So
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about what you do through that company.
So I Am Worthy Wellness, it's a kind of that's the umbrella of the whole wellness company. So within or underneath that umbrella, there's mindset, fitness, and nutrition. So, those things go hand in hand. And when I created the business, all I saw all over social media was eat this and work out like this, those two things. And I thought, well, pretty much most of us can Google some workouts, right? And most people can figure out, for the most part, we know, maybe I shouldn't eat 4 bags of chips and 2 liters of pop every single day, right? Like, for the most part, even if we don't have a huge nutritional knowledge, we know that for the most part. But I said, that's not the problem. That's not the issue for people. It's not about knowing what to do. It's about getting yourself to do it and being able to enjoy that process and feel supported and feel knowledgeable in it, and get past the mental block of the only way you'll ever be worth anything is if you're smaller, and all that past trauma that so many of us have from a million different directions and things coming at us from teenage years and beyond. So that's really why it started. I wanted to tag in that mindset piece. So I do one-on-one coaching. So, just like we're talking right now. So doing one-on-one coaching with folks as it pertains to their goals. So whatever it might be. And that's where my social work background really comes into play as well. So I've been able to kind of mix them together, which is so amazing. And what most people need, really, the mindset piece is what most of us need in terms of commitment and discipline, and understanding that changing your lifestyle isn't about punishment. It's about a celebration of who you are, not about punishing who you are, right? So one-on-one coaching, also a trained nutrition coach. So I calculate numbers for people. I do not create meal plans. I think that they're kind of counterproductive. It's cool for me to tell you what to eat and when to eat it, but I'm not here forever, right? Yeah. And you can't follow that exact same meal plan forever, because why the heck would you want to? So I don't tell people what to eat. I just tell them how much of each, food group is ideal for them and their goals. 99% of the time, women are telling me I'm, crazy, because why would they can't eat that much, because they've all been taught that they should be under eating, right? So helping people. So when I do that, so the nutrition side of things is also a mindset coaching as well, because it's about flipping our mindset to eating more than the nutritional value of, what a toddler needs, right? As a grown human. So doing that. And then also creating fitness programs, which is my biggest love, because I just love to move my body. And I love to invite people in who feel like fitness and the classes that I do aren't for them. So I make my classes fun and inclusive, and say, if you can I just did 20 jumping jacks. If you did 1 modified, you're awesome, right? You're here, you showed up, you're being yourself, and making my space as it pertains to fitness feel like it's for everybody and feel inclusive. And that's really my biggest driver in all of this. I love the mindset piece. I love the nutrition, but when people can show up and have fun moving their body, it takes away that stress and that pressure. I have to get in a workout, or if I don't do this, I'll be, I'm a failure, or whatever it is. It's like you get to show up and move and have fun and laugh and sweat, and then you get to do it again tomorrow. Right. So I do fitness classes online for free, virtually. I do paid for classes. And then I also create programming and coach people one-on-one for their own personalized programs as well. So it's kind of all encompassing. And my partner helps me with the fitness side of things as well, because he's also a personal trainer. So it's pretty awesome. It's pretty great, really.
Amazing. I love that. All right. So if people want to learn more about you and kind of accessing services through I Am Worthy Wellness, where would they go?
Best place to go is just come right to my Instagram page at Jasmine Losing It and click the link in my bio. So that's got pretty much everything there that they would need.
Amazing. It's been such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for bringing such actionable, practical insight on growing a following, building an audience, and doing it in a way where you don't lose yourself.
Yeah, so important. So important. Thank you for having me.